Excellent. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Bill Schalik. I am the president and a partner of OST Global Solutions, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to meet with us to review and discuss some of the more critical contract vehicles and IDIQs that are out there and that the government is pushing for the private sector to use as part of their contracting solutions. All right. So today we're going to give you a brief overview about OST Global Solutions. Going to talk about the federal landscape, what it looks like right now, to be just upfront and transparent. 2026 has started off much better than 2025. So we'll go through that. We'll give you a little bit of a vehicle overview and deep dive for GSA MAS, OASIS Plus, Army Maps, DoD SOF, and SeaPort Next Gen. And then we'll talk about how you can best prepare yourselves for these opportunities through gap analyses and scorecard strategies, talk about the different disqualifiers, and how you can maximize your scorecard points, excuse me. In addition, we'll share with you some other little items that we offer for solutioning that may assist you preparing and or getting onto these vehicles. I want to offer to everybody to ask questions as needed. Put them in the chat, please. I'll pause from time to time so we can take more questions or questions as needed. I have Mr. David Sloven and Andy Altamirano on from our end. Andy's one of our executives and our senior capture and proposal manager. David Sloven is one of our specialists across all things OST, and they will be responding to your questions. All right, so a little bit about OST. Been in business for 20 years, and during these 20 years, we have won over 27 billion for our clients. We have easily over 120 active clients right now. That 98% or so are small business set aside. And we are one of the only companies that specializes in education. Our Bid and Proposal Academy, which consists of 18 courses of foundations through advanced capture and proposal management. We offer our GovCon, Catalyst, pipeline, and monthly retainer services, and kind of talk about this towards the end of the presentation, but basically we're helping people manage their pipelines, find opportunities, qualify them, giving them everything they need to get through gates 2 and 3, if not 3 and 4, bid, no bid, including from a teaming strategy standpoint. And then our biggest part of our business correlates to this conversation we're going to have today with these vehicles, which is our capture and proposal services or consulting services. We offer cradle to grave solutions, proposal managers, capture managers, writers, desktop publishers, graphics SMEs, cost pricing SMEs, orals coaches, black hat, and price to win. Pretty much if it's a business development labor category, we have those people available to assist your objectives. All right, so why don't we talk about the forecast for 2026. There's coming into this year, we were optimistic that 2026 was going to start stronger than 2025 ended, and we've definitely seen that. And to be honest, the majority of the opportunities that are out there really do correlate to the different IDIQs and government-wide access contracts that are out there. OASIS Plus has been hot, super hot, maps, etc. And we'll kind of go through each of these opportunities so that you can get a better feel for where you could take advantage of these other contracts. The government has made an upfront commitment with increased investments across Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, Treasury, Veterans Affairs, and definitely GSA. One of their promises was to try to force all government contracts through GSA, something that the government did many decades ago. And it worked for the most part, but ultimately it was a stovepipe. GSA struggled They had a lot of work, a lot of contracts, and a lot of opportunities that were really hard for them to manage. Well, the government's going back to this. And in the past, where GSA just owned or managed and serviced these contracts, they are trying to consolidate them now. And maybe some of you have already seen this, but across the board, they're canceling contracts, bringing them in under MAS. Even IT-70, that schedule was put under GSA MAS. So I think to better prepare as part of your growth strategies, you should be on a GSA schedule. MAS is the way to go, and we'll share with you a little bit about what that looks like getting onto that schedule. You also, if you are already on MAS, there should be a big consideration around your SINs. If you have the right SINs, and or if there are additional SINs you can add so that you can have additional opportunities for bidding task orders. The biggest declines in the government, health and human services, I think everybody saw a trend where a lot of people in that agency took the early buyouts, were let go, and contracts were canceled. NSF, another one. The good news is, as of yesterday, there are some updates that suggest that the cyber world is going to get the funding that it needs to continue over the next at least 5 years. So that's good news. And OST supports the cyber STTR world and has for over 5 years. We currently have an active lab going on for small businesses, and this is where we help you specialize and improve your ability to target these grants and get through phase 1 and 2 funding solutioning. So if that's of interest, please reach out to us and we can share a bit more about that solutioning. EPA and NASA took big hits. With NASA SOUP 6 still out there and awaiting award, the expectation is that that may change. Who owns that? GSA may take the NASA SOUP 6 vehicle. I do know that at least NASA is putting up a little bit of a debate about this, but there should be some sort of updates coming very soon, including if you submitted for NASA SOUP 6, the expectation is award announcements will be coming out in the next 30 days or so. And energy was the next big victim. And if you look, there's $163 billion that were cut for non-defense spending and an increase of almost $113 billion for the Pentagon. So ultimately, if you are supporting the defense infrastructure, security, and GSA-led vehicles, you're going to be in a better position to grow your businesses, not only from a forecasting standpoint, pipeline, et cetera, but for preparation of targeted opportunities to generate more revenue. And we originally pulled these data points towards the beginning of the year in January, and all indications are that the trend still is the same with the agencies that are in the green and unfortunately with the agencies that are in the red. I'm going to pause there and see if anybody has any questions. Please feel free again to post those in the chat and we will respond accordingly. You could also come off of mute and ask questions as needed. All right. So today we're going to talk about these 5 vehicles and IDIQs. This is where the business is. This is where you could easily increase your task order responses and generate revenue. GSA MAS, probably the biggest of the 5 and the most active. OASIS Plus, which is currently active right now. We're going to share a little bit about the work we did on the initial on-ramp and that we're currently doing, but looking at easily over 60 plus clients for our small owned woman-owned business and probably 80 to 90 submissions for the different domains and set-aside statuses. Army Maps is the next big target. The expectation is that this RFP will drop this month or next month. And like OASIS Plus, it has a scorecard requirement. The DoD SOF Global Services Delivery Vehicle is another one with a scorecard, and that's not estimated or forecasted to drop until next quarter, probably mid to late quarter. And then SeaPort has been a great vehicle for a lot of our clients. It is being rolled in under GSA, and the expectation is that they'll allow this to stay active for the next 4 years. But once those 4 years pass, it is very likely that MAS or another vehicle will absorb SeaPort. All right, so MAS number one, target, I think for most people. If you are not on MAS, you really should consider this. It is not a very complicated on-ramping process, saying that right now OST has about 12 clients that we are supporting with this process, and the level of effort varies. We are also finalizing two solutions which go or are going to be a little bit different than what we've offered before. Normally we do this as a T&M solution, but we're starting to do fixed firm price for all 5 of these different vehicles and IDIQs. And it is very competitive. And like for MAS, we have 2 options. One will be along the lines of about a $12,000 offer where we do everything. And then the second opportunity will probably be around $3,000 to $4,000. It does require a little bit of support from you, including with the writing portion, which can be also edited or adjusted as the delivery goes on. We have a 100% success rate with this process. We have one of the top GSA MAS specialists in the country. She was with MAS, excuse me, I'm sorry, she was with GSA, and she has been doing this forever. Typically, when GSA has an issue, they call her. That's how experienced she is with this. We always welcome conversations, these scheduling meetings with us so we can give you the best direction and help you decide if it's a good investment for you. But MAS is definitely one of those schedules that people should be on, should be reevaluating if they have not recently onboarded, including from a SIN standpoint. And like most of these GWACs or IDIQs or schedules, the benefit is more than just getting on-ramped. It is creating relationships, targeting the right federal professionals, getting in front of them with white papers, presentations, so that hopefully you can have task orders created directly for you, sort of sole source, if an option. The normal estimated time frame to get this done is 6 to 12 months. To be fair, when it's closer to the 12-month timeline, that's typically because GSA is working the process. We won't say delaying. What we've had success with is with our point of contact, our specialist, her pretty much knowing all the people in GSA and being able to coordinate directly with the different leads to get these submitted and approved sooner than later. And I do want to let everybody know that you will receive a copy of this presentation a little bit after the presentation or the webinar has been completed. Oh, and somebody asked, I'm not lying, Jamuna, I did not even notice your question. I said that just by coincidence, and hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. All right, OASIS Plus. So this has been probably the hottest of the different GWACs and IDIQs that are out there. Phase 1, we supported over 22 clients, multiple submissions, set-asides, domains, etc. We had a 100% win rate. And I want to put an asterisk on that. Unfortunately, there were a couple of clients that did not get through, and the reasoning was out of our control. We're not looking to blame them. Actually, we're sorry it occurred. But ultimately, one did not have their SAM.gov registration up to date, and a second one chose a CO for their JP6 that wasn't a big fan of them. And had we known that, we would have told them not to do that. So definitely unfortunate, but this is black and white for us. This is a scoring solution. So where we don't want to just get the minimum points, we want to make sure that you're maximizing your points. You have more than the minimum points needed to get approval, depending on the pools, the domains, etc. The current on-ramp, which changed from the first on-ramp, is now a rolling on-ramp. So this means, like MAS, at any time, if you qualify, you can submit through Symphony and get an approval. We're telling our clients, we're telling our prospects, the people we're speaking with, the sooner you do this, the better. Obviously, there's going to be rolling awards. So if you wait, you're going to be delayed getting that approval to submit task orders for OASIS Plus. The current phase 2 activities are, we have over 40 companies that we're doing. And one of the things we're trying to do is also take advantage of teaming. Like the first on-ramp, we're putting people in touch with each other, not just to increase their points and their scoring, but so that they can look at additional socioeconomic pools and or domains. So if you are considering this, please schedule a meeting with us. We'll come to the table, myself, Andy Altamirano, and we'll talk through it with you to try to help you determine if it's worth proceeding for a scorecard assessment. As I mentioned earlier, we're now looking to do this fixed firm price. To be fair, for almost every one of these deliveries, we've been in the $4,000 to $6,000 range. It's not a huge investment comparatively. There's not a lot of narrative. It is very technical and administrative. And we consider ourselves SMEs with this process. All right, so there are now 5 new domains that were added to the original 8 domains: business administration, financial services, human capital, marketing and public relations, and social services. So professional services are big, and this definitely opens up opportunity for a lot of clients, excuse me, and companies that were not originally able to submit during the initial on-ramp. The points for the scorecard are 36 for the small business and 42 if you're going for the unrestricted. This is an easier award process because it is not limited to a certain number of awards, like MAPS and like some of the other GWACs that are out there. The self-scoring is dangerous. And just to be fair, with us doing this for over 60 folks, we can tell you we have some great, smart clients. But sometimes we drink our own bathwater or drink the Kool-Aid, and we're optimistic or a little overly optimistic, and that results with us increasing the scores. And by us, I mean the private sector. And that is dangerous. So having somebody with an outside perspective that specializes in this look at your scorecard or create your scorecard is beneficial to the process. And I'm sharing that even if it's not OST, it's not a sales pitch. It's definitely a best practice. The Symphony portal is needed for submissions. We have supported this upload, I think, for almost all our clients. We like to make sure our clients are participating as part of the submission. And like any other proposal, we're following a schedule with color team reviews to make sure we are compliant and compelling. There are a number of different long lead items that you really want to pay attention to. Most important, in my opinion, are going to be around the qualified projects and the CPARs and JP6s. If you don't have CPARs, we need to get JP6s in place, and that can take a little time, especially if it's reliant on a government point of contact. The bigger challenge is if we or you don't know if that government POC is still working in the government. Right. Some of the key requirements are you up to 5 qualified projects per domain. There's a $250,000 minimum value, and that money needs to have been generated or revenue within the last 5 years. The QPs are now reusable, which was in question during the first on-ramp, makes it a lot easier for you to qualify in additional domains. And you can also use state, local, and education. I will say that if you are using these, they're going to be scored a little bit different, a little less than government, but still you are eligible to get through this. And again, we just want to make those minimum points really above those minimum points. So we will and can help you look at the qualified projects you're using, targeting, and make sure you're maximizing your points. All right, and we have a good question that came up from Janet. I've been told if you use a GSA schedule completing the OSA registration, this is easier. Have you encountered this? No, we have not. At least I have not. Andy, are you there, sir? David, is Andy available?
He's saying he can't come off mute.
Yeah, can you please make it so that he can come off mute? Okay, and for now, Andy will respond in the chat. Also, another really good question about the pre-qualifications to apply for OASIS Plus. Well, it's just dependent on your set-aside status, domains, if you have the qualified projects, Samra, and really what we would have to do is look at everything from different certifications to the qualified projects you may have available, what partnering solutioning you can do so you can maximize those points. The scorecard technically is the pre-qualification. Right, another good question. What does facilities include in the original domain? David, if you can add that, please, to the chat, that would be helpful. Thank you. Okay. So great questions for OASIS Plus. Anybody have any other questions? Is there a percentage funding fee for? These are all great questions. The short answer is no, but I'll let the specialists here on my team verify that regarding the percentage funding. And then for the domains, do you need to show a value for each? Again, I'll let David and Andy respond to that. And then the required certs, I'll also let them respond to that. There are minimum requirements or extra points you can garner for these certifications. All right, so is subcontractor work sufficient? Or does the past performance have to be at a prime level? The short answer is both are acceptable, but again, I'll let the tech SMEs respond accordingly. All right, we're going to go into Army maps, which is really the next big IDIQ opportunity that's coming out. As I mentioned earlier, the expectation is for this RFP to be released towards the end of this month, early next month. Saying that, we've been waiting quite a while for this. We do have some intel from the CO's office that suggests this is going to really happen. So fingers crossed. So what is MAPS? For starters, it's basically the consolidation of the ITEST 3S and the RS3 contracts. And it's purely around knowledge-based professional and IT services, and it's going to be directly affiliated with the Army. There are 5 domains, 29 categories, and this is a 10-year vehicle. So it's going to be 5 years and then 5 potential additional years that can be approved. When they originally reviewed ITEST 3S and RS3, like a lot of vehicles, they realized that they had a large amount of obligated funding and the spend may not have been as diverse as they would like or as much as they would like. So by consolidating both of these, they think it'll be easier for them to manage and work through the 5 domains to make sure that there are more opportunities and more awards. The 5 domains are going to be the engineering, logistics, and operational services, which originally was identified as technical. Then there's the management and advisory, which is associated with acquisition planning, financial training, project management, quality assurance, and risk management. The R research development, T&E, basic and applied research, experimental research, emerging IT, which I think everybody's pretty familiar with, and then foundational IT, which is a little more standardized. The estimated value will be around $50 billion, which is very close to what the consolidation of the Army's ITES 3S and RS3 contracts are. And the expected awards, I think this is really what's a very critical component if you're going to look at this, is there is a ceiling of awards that are going to occur. And I'm going to guess the large majority of you that are on this call or in this webinar are small businesses. So you're looking at about 25 awards across the different domains. Final awards should be happening in June. Fingers crossed. We all know that protests change these schedules, but if everything goes according to plan and the RFP is released no later than April, they're hoping to have these awards in place in June. They don't want to extend any further the ITES 3S to the RS3. Some big changes that are making this easier, especially for small businesses. They've removed the 50% off-ramp bidding requirement. Small businesses can use subcontract qualified projects. That's big. There was major questions around that, and now this opens the door for you to have those teaming partners and using their qualified projects. The new emerging large business category also clearly defines what the average revenue is before it was in question. The IT domain or domains have been somewhat reduced or narrowed. And again, this goes or aligns with the government's and the Army's objective of making it easier to not only release task orders, but also make more awards to companies. Some of the gate requirements, it says pass fail. These are minimum requirements. You have to have these. So you have to have at least a security facility clearance level. I believe if you have a top secret, you could get extra points. ISO 9001, 2015, and this has to be held by the prime. The CMMC final level 2 assessment has to be in place, and you need to have a government approved accounting system. Here's where things get interesting. If you submitted NASA SOUP 6, you're most likely aware that for some of these scenarios, you just had to have these in place or awarded or approved by award. The reality is all indications are that is the same for Army maps, though they have not clearly defined this. So if you are aware of the processing time to get an FCL for your company or the ISO certifications in the CMMC, because you don't have these, you want to get started right away. It's going to be very important. Otherwise, you cannot proceed with these requirements. And I see that a MAPS and RS3 question came in. 2, actually, so they're really good. So the government approved systems. I don't have an answer for that off the top of my head. Andy and David, if you can respond to that, please, for and or research it as well. And then as for Rebecca's question, similar, can you be in process of getting the ISO cert at the time of submission? All indications are yes, but we have to make sure that there is a compelling statement that clearly identifies that an approved vendor is in place with a contract and there's a schedule to get this done. And assuming that the awards are really supposed to happen in June 2026, in a lot of cases, it's going to be very difficult to get that approved or completed in that small time frame. Unless you know somebody. I know that historically I have found that these take more than a few months at a minimum, especially the FCL. This is a little bit of a breakdown of the scorecard evaluations. And again, you have 3 qualified projects per domain. The minimum contract value has to be 2.5 million. That is an uptick from the 2 million that they originally identified. And I think that if the small businesses don't have subcontractor qualified projects, I would suggest considering JVs. JVs could really make it a lot easier to use each other's past performance. The QPs do have to be signed or accredited by the government official, and it's going to be very important that the NAICS align with the domain NAICS. So your contract NAICS. This is pass-fail scorecard. We love scorecards. We think that it's really a simpler version of a gap analysis, where gap analysis can have many variables. Scorecards are pretty black and white. So this is something that we have found really easy to do. Right now, we have 5 clients that we're assisting with Army maps, and the expectation is as we get closer to the RFP, a lot more will join. And then once the RFP drops, well, that's usually where we see the biggest uptake. I'd be surprised if we have less than 20 clients that will be working for this, which is something for you to consider, please, because we will be able to take into consideration teaming opportunities, because not every one of these clients are going to be able to maximize their points. The reality is, for this scoring, Andy, I believe it's 118,000 points for small business total. Is that correct?
Oh, I think he had to drop it out. Let me look.
Oh, he did have it. Sorry, he did have a 1230. Yeah, and the way this is going to work is they're going to choose the highest points, companies that have the highest points. My expectation is there's going to be a lot of submissions and a lot of people that are going to max out. So if that is the case, it's going to be critical that either your teaming structure or what you're capable of supporting is that much better than the competition. And the way you write that and respond to that is going to be very important. They are using what they're calling the Dora bot for AI to pick the top proposals. I really am not sure why they chose Dora, because the first thing that comes to mind is Dora the Explorer, but who knows? Ultimately, though, with them using algorithms and AI, it's going to be important that your submission is not questionable, that it is clear. The ties are going to be broken by CPAR ratings. I say it's a little more nuanced than that. Again, it'll also be based on your capabilities and the narrative you provide that makes you more compelling than the competitors. Very important to understand that the government will not adjust just self scores if you make a mistake, upward at least. If obviously you identify points that are not accurate, they will deduct those points. We have seen this occur with OASIS Plus. The difference for most of our clients were that they had more points than needed, so they still made the cut. All right. So the DoD SOF Global Services Delivery Contract is the next big target. The RFP has not been released. They've extended that date numerous times. The final RFP is expected probably around late April or May. This is a successor to the Core Support Contract, or SCS. It expires March 2028. So that means we have time to prepare the solutioning. Once the RFP comes out, we'll probably get the typical 30-day response window. And the reality is, with there being about 2 months from that estimated release, it's probably important that you don't wait to assess if you can qualify for this solicitation. It is a self-scoring review like the others. As of today, we have one client that we are supporting. We've had numerous conversations. I believe that a lot of people are waiting for the final RFP before proceeding, because this is a little bit more nuanced than MAPS and OASIS Plus. If you do not have a top secret facility clearance, you cannot qualify for this. If you're doing a joint venture, you have to have a top secret clearance, and it's at the time of submission. So that's going to probably really weed out a number of different companies. There's obviously not a lot of small businesses out there that have facility clearance levels. If you do not have CMMC level 1, that's also going to be a deal breaker. This is a self-assessment. We did this ourselves, and it really wasn't that complicated. In the event that you would like some support, we have a number of technical experts that can assist that for you. We offer these services, T&M. It's a pretty small investment. And make sure in all cases for any GWAC, IDIQ, or contract or solicitation you're submitting, that your SAM.gov registration is active. So there are 5 service categories as of right now, which were released as part of the draft RFP: education and training, management support services, program management, engineering, technical and professional services, and administrative and other services. So pretty open, a lot of professional services here. Another opportunity for companies that are in this world with defense to take advantage of this if you have those hard gate requirements in place. This is also another scenario where the government's going to use AI or an AI tool to analyze the proposals for compliance. I would suggest, if you are submitting for this and you do not get approved, to pay very close attention, request your debrief, pay very close attention why you were declined. AI is not a perfect tool. We all know this. It hallucinates, and all it's going to take is one oversight for there to be protests and for people to question us. We're not suggesting that's should happen or we want that to happen, but would not surprise me if that is the case. All right. All right, let's talk about SeaPort Next Gen. So there's a lot of information that's out there with this opportunity, this vehicle, and it's a little bit contradictory. Some people are saying that you can still on-ramp for this. Truth be told, there's no indication that is going to occur. The 4-year period of performance that remains is the target to end this vehicle. And the rolling emissions were closed in July of 2024. So We had heard originally that there was going to be another on-ramp, and then with the administration making the statements associated with GSA playing the more critical role for managing these types of vehicles, all indications are again that this is not going to have another on-ramp. Saying that if you're on this, you're still good and active. If you were interested in getting on SeaPort Next Gen, my suggestion would be to reach out to us so we could have a conversation. We can help figure out if you are eligible, and then make some phone calls to figure out on your behalf if there's an opportunity to get you in front of some of the different COs, contract specialists, KOs, etc., where you could get a task order. What we're seeing in these situations is most of the time the CO's offices are being told to release the task orders that they normally would on SeaPort Next Gen for companies that are not already approved en masse. I don't have a lot of proof of this, but that's what we're seeing and hearing. This has been a very successful vehicle, with the caveat that they have not spent a lot of the obligated funding. This is another reason that they're considering this to move over to GSA, so that there could be a higher spend with the obligated funding. Yeah, Rebecca, we do, and I'm just looking over at the comments now. We do have the updated link for the latest maps announcement, and we will put that in the chat for everybody. All right. So here's a side-by-side comparison of these 5 IDIQs and vehicles. Very plentiful, very small business friendly. They're black and white from the standpoint of what your options are. For MAS and OASIS Plus, it's open. It's going to stay open. It's going to be a rolling on-ramp. For both of these, it's a no-brainer. It's very easy for us to determine if you can qualify, if you're not already on these vehicles. We typically like to bring in our specialists, including Andy and David, and or our GSA SME, so that you can ask questions and they can ask questions to make sure that is the case. At the end of this webinar, there will be a link and or a QR code to schedule meetings with me and my team. You are also welcome to go to our website, and when you are there, you can schedule meetings accordingly based on our availability, as well as join our teaming portal, which is very important to these types of activities. We like to assist our clients in the small business, private sector world with teaming. It takes 10 minutes to enter your data in our portal. We do not share your information without your permission. If you contact us and ask us to provide a partner that has maybe a certain set-aside status, capability, geographic location, etc., we're going to really scrutinize this and make sure there's a good fit. We don't want to lose you as a potential client. We also don't want to lose our clients. And we've been doing this for over 4 years now, and it's been very, very successful. So if one of our clients also potentially needs something that you offer, we'd give you a call and do the same and see if you were interested. And then typically that results with us making introductions. I share this now with this slide up because almost all of these support teaming solutions, and most businesses are strong, but when they have the right partners in place, they have a much higher probability of getting onto these contracts, vehicles. So we'll provide this to you again. You'll be able to kind of quickly take a look at this snapshot and determine what your options are, with MAS and OASIS being a rolling on-ramp and active. The only urgency there are to consider the administration's objectives of getting everything on GSA and or getting awarded or an approval sooner than later so that you can start bidding task orders or getting in front of the right government entity to get that sole source task order. MAPS and SOF, those RFPs should be coming out between now and the next quarter, and they do have hard requirements, and you want to make sure that you can meet those minimum requirements. Could talk through that with you as well. And then SeaPort Next Gen, we'd love to be optimistic and say there's still an opportunity to get on there, but the reality is it's most likely going to be moved over to GSA and moved under GSA MAS. If you're currently on it, it's good for 4 years. I think if you have an interest, you should still monitor this because it has been somewhat of a successful vehicle, with the caveat that also they've had a hard time spending all their obligated funding. I know where they could send that money. I'll take it. Okay, so please, been doing this for 20 years. We know there's a lot of you out there that have a very successful track record procuring solicitations, winning government contracts. What I can tell you is, and this is mentioned on the next slide, I think, that we win 85% of the time at a minimum when we are helping our clients on their contracts. We do about 300 proposals a year. This was prior to doging us and everybody else. But the reality is, out of those 300 proposals or so, probably about 115 of them we lead. Those are the ones that we count and that we monitor as part of our winning rate. When we're providing a writer, a desktop publisher, a cost and pricing SME, of course, we want them to give you everything that you need to win. The variables that are out of our control are the other pieces, proposal management especially. And if we're not in charge of it, it's hard for us to really have a high probability of award. So we don't include those. The best thing you can do if you don't have the ability to invest in large capture efforts, which are expensive and timely, are to do a gap analysis. There are different levels. We do these all the time for our clients. We do it by the solicitation. We can do this once an RFP is released. To be fair, we suggest you do it beforehand because it's going to give us and you an opportunity to look at teaming strategies, win themes, and differentiators beforehand. It's not an expensive investment. History tells the business development world that if you're doing capture, you're probably looking at a minimum of 1.5% to up to a 3% investment of the total obligated funding of an opportunity. That is expensive. And that's why companies like Lockheed Martin, GDIT, Deloitte, etc., all the big players, they're the ones that are doing real capture and full capture. We believe in the small business world or the mid-sized business world, you're going to get the same benefit from doing a gap analysis or pre-proposal qualification. And we can discuss this further in meetings, but it is nuanced and there is a way of going about this so that you have all the information you need to decide if it's worth pursuing. And again, it's a much smaller investment. Most of our clients probably pay $2,000 to $5,000 for a full gap analysis, win themes, teaming strategies, and for us to help identify differentiators, sort of ghosting tactics. If you're interested in the gap analysis or scorecard assessment, please reach out. So how are you going to maximize your points? It's really simple. It's making sure you're using the right qualified projects. You have the right CPARs or JP6. This is in place, confirming the quality of delivery. You want to make sure at a minimum you have at least an average rating with those agreements. You have to make sure you're mapping the QPs accordingly. And this is probably one of the more timely requirements with these different scorecard assessments and that you align with the right domains and your small business status is active and can be used to garner new business. Some of these pools are more competitive than others. We didn't go into that level of data or detail because it is also nuanced and there are a lot of variables. So how we can help through qualifications, gap analysis, teaming strategies. Again, we have the teaming portal. We're doing this for free. Win theme development, scorecard assessment, and then one of the biggest parts of the business deliveries we do for our clients are around draft and final RFP, solutioning and submission, tech volumes, management plans, resumes, past performance, administrative documents, SF30s, and then uploads. We do these T&M. We base it on each solicitation. There is science and math used to come up with these estimates. We do them T&M. Every delivery follows our best practices, at least when an option. And I'll be honest and tell you, we do have clients that bring things to us and we have to be firefighters. We are transparent partners to a fault. If you bring something to us and we don't think we can do it with quality or you're going to get the return on investment win or be able to generate revenue, we're going to tell you that. As much as we want the business, we know in this business, if we do not deliver as promised, you're not going to want to do business with us. And our reputation is important. We currently have a 96% client satisfaction rating, and that's with our 120 clients, and that's over the last 6 years. We value that significantly. We're not perfect, but we also are not going to be responsible for compliance issues because we're going to be upfront with you. We're going to take every action or step needed to make sure you're making a good decision. Do we have clients that tell us they don't care, they still want to submit? Yes, that's fine. We will support them as requested, but they are aware of the risks associated with this. Right now, knowing that we have a lot of scorecards out there with these different solicitations, OASIS, Army, and SOF, we are offering free scorecard assessments if you sign up for our GovCon Catalyst monthly pipeline services. This is a month-to-month service. We have two solutions, two options, option one and option two. Option one supports pipeline identification, qualification, management, RFI solutioning, gap analysis, amongst some other things. The second option, which is a little bit more expensive or pricey, that covers a heavier lift with mini capture or capture solutions. Please reach out to us if you're interested in this. We have found that the biggest hurdle for our clients since 2025 has been building a strong pipeline of qualified opportunities and making sure that you can bid, when to bid, and increasing your chance of P-win. Again, we win over 85% of the time. We have over 26 clients right now that are using that monthly service. So regardless if you are a micro business or you are a strong business that's generating revenue and just wants to increase that revenue, let's have a conversation if you'd like to improve your pipeline solutioning. All right, that's my mugshot. Again, we'll provide this to you with the links for teaming, newsletters. Please sign up for our newsletters if you're not receiving them already. We try to give you all the information that we know and we've researched, including through human intel with the different CO's offices, so you have an advantage and or can figure out if there's an opportunity for you to bid each of these solicitations. I appreciate everybody's time. I hope we were able to answer all of your questions. I'll stay on for a little bit extra time if there's any additional questions that I can answer, and hope we get to continue these conversations and work together. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, Deb. Welcome, George. Thank you for attending. Thanks, Jamuna. Same. All these thank yous. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it and appreciate you joining today's meeting. Looking forward to hopefully working together. And again, please reach out even if you just need a little bit of guidance and help. Thank you. David, if you'd like to end the recording, that'd be great.